Okay. That's about even. All right. If you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark. He went out. And this is Smokey, Steve, and Marc. Welcome or welcome back. Happy to be live today. I also have a live kitty scooting all under my feet here, too. It's actually Oscar. So, feeling better and the week's going good. It's going good, Mr. McFeet. It's been a rough couple weeks for a number of different reasons. And we were talking before, and then I saw someone had commented that, we were good in the beginning. We did a video a day for a year. And I like schedules, but sometimes schedules, other stuff comes up, health, work, other stuff before socializing and before hanging out with friends. So things have been switched around. We used to dependably do coffee talk on a Saturday, and it was almost never live. Like every 2 months it was live. But again, that changed as her content changed. When she switched off to doing those 4-hour lives where she looks like a big old sweaty mess, then no. Those were not fun to watch at all. I'm good, Christine, thanks. Just, Mark wasn't feeling well, and then I wasn't feeling well, and it's hard to push each other sometimes to do stuff when it gets hard, so of course that succeeded. It doesn't work today and everything else. Love, hello, Christine, Calendar, Beth, Miss McPhoebe, hello, how are you? So nice to see y'all. Here to judge. I'm here to judge. Assess. We'll call it assess. That seems nicer. Haven't seen the notification jumping in for a moment. That's okay. That's no problem. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, schedules, it's convenient, but there's parts of our life now that aren't scheduled that will come up. And things that will need to get a priority shot over something else. So unfortunately, sometimes YouTube falls under that. Not all the time. And probably not going forward, but it's been like that. We've had to readjust. And people have been patient, they've been kind, and they've been watching, and we appreciate that too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. 41 people in the room, and it's only 2 minutes. For us, that's pretty good, I would say. So grab your coffee, grab your bubbly, whatever you got. And hello, Jake, hello. Bubbly, anybody? So we are going to revisit our fair lady Shantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Everyday Miriam, or every other day Miriam, maybe once a week Miriam, after Ramadan Miriam. So last we had checked in, she had just made her way back to Canada, and she was going to stay and collect money from viewers to help her finance staying, and then lied about that and did. So, lingering in the corridor, hello, Drama Llama, hello. So, she's finally going to be leaving to go back to Kuwait. After she was going to stay, and then she found out no one would pay for it, she decided to go. So, now she's just waiting, and the suspicion was that she was waiting until the 21st to make any sort of move, not only for her visa and those restrictions, but for her to be able to afford it, too. Round trip to Kuwait, Canada, it's not like it's across the street. It's a bit of a hike to do. And she's in no condition to be flying that much. To say nothing of the inconvenience that she creates for other people by not planning ahead. The master planner can't think ahead of, Jesus shit, if I'm too fat for one seat, I should get 2. Who needs to be told that? Anyway, the Shantal loop hasn't changed too much here to judge. It's moved, it's across, Yeah, she either has to buy 2 seats or make a pathetic stink when the plane is there, and then try to get them to move her around, or can't somebody else move? If you're taking up the space of 2 people, you gotta pay for the space of 2 people. It's not like in other areas of your life, but it is for that. There's limits to it. And saying that she has obstacles, it's her health more than anything else. I was afraid she'd throw a clot on the plane, but, don't want to see that happen, but she doesn't treat her body like a temple so much. She treats it more like, I don't know, an outhouse out back that people just have their way with and then leave. That kind of thing. So, she'll be traveling. She talked about therapy in Canada because this was going to be for health. She was going to come back to Canada for her health. She always vaguely says health. Is it for the sciatica? Is it for the binge eating disorder? It's whatever's serviceable that day. So, I did a little research into language and the challenge for Shantal to learn the language where she's speaking. as opposed to not, which she does now. And what it says about her and her place in the community, that she's disengaged from that part of the culture almost completely. So, language barrier. She did a live mukbang in the car. She had a sandwich with bread that was thicker than, it looked like a yoga mat that was chopped up and made bakery sandwiches. Something she would like. Delusions of hip bones. She kind of thinks all she needs to do to turn this all around now is just like this much exercise. Now, granted, at her size, in the first like 2 weeks, she could probably drop 30 pounds because she's just a camel. She just carries water with her. She's constantly salted up, and it would take a number of days of her eating, not necessarily even eating better, but less, and then keeping up with fluids, and that would come off, and then you might get an idea about it. But she doesn't seem to be terribly interested in pursuing that. She's hell-bent on just going back to stay in her home with Sala, who we've seen he's resurrected. But I still find suspicious. I find that suspicious. So no. In her head, she needs to do a couple walks around the block and maybe have a few chicken salads here and there. And in her head, she's going to be 150 pounds, like that. So, grand plans about getting healthy in Kuwait. She didn't go outside, like ever. And granted, she kind of puts herself in these situations where she can't help but do nothing. She's like, oh, I love being active, but it's 130 degrees outside, so I can't. Well, what about when you were in Canada? Oh, it was snowing. It was too good. Just say, I'm lazy, I'm not doing it. It doesn't matter what continent I'm on. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what image I'm trying to portray. I'm just going to eat and call it all sorts of different things. So, I don't know. She did go out for cheese curds. Is that a lie? That she went for cheese curds? Well, she went to get cheese curds for her family after going to get some for herself. He wore resurrection. Oh my god, didn't he? Yeah, he was ready to go. He had the cat right there. That poor bastard. Anyway, she's going to have a glow up. We just touched on that. Shantal and Sala have season 3 of the channel. They're actually going to be revisiting the couples channel with Sala being on there and her. I still think we're going to see a little bit of him limited. Just because I get the feeling she told him it's totally blown over. No one's going to even remember. It'll be just fine. Trust me, I have 100,000 and I've been on YouTube for years. I think if he's that dumb, then he deserves whatever he gets coming back on camera. Sorry. I mean, it gets old because it's the only kind of thing, but cheese curds are very good, Miss McPhoebe. You're not the only one that hasn't had them, though. I bought them at the supermarket just for something to try, something to have, and I was trying them out on family members. They're good. They're just like, it reminds me of like salty mozzarella that's a little tougher to chew. I've never had proper poutine with the gravy and the cheese curds and everything, though I've heard that's to die for. I've only had them, like I said, nibbling out of the bag. Sometimes they'd be on a salad bar up here. They do sound gross. It's the closest thing I can compare it to is like a really chewy, what's the boken? It's the mozzarella balls that are like golf balls. Boken something, whatever. I'm a lapsed Irish German. I don't really know. So, but they will both be out for their show. Revisiting our friend the scammer, and just to reiterate that scamming is scamming no matter how much you make. And then she tries to insist that all of us who don't take her word is disgusting. So, not like cottage cheese. It's more like, it's firm. I mean, you'd pick it up, hold it in your hand. You know, they're a sometimes snack. They are. They're not unless you're on keto, then you can probably eat the whole bag. But, hell, if you're not, you can eat the whole bag. We saw that too. But at any rate, so let's revisit it. We'll start at the very beginning, a good place to start, and we'll just flesh it out from there. And as always, thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the thumbs up if you're new. Confused by the barbecue flavor. I can't imagine cheese flavor that way. Yeah, but this bitch puts like hot sauce on her popsicles. Like she can't be. Her flavor profiles that she finds impressive are really not. Her taste buds are totally blown out of salt and spices, I'm sure. So, thank you, Nicole. Hiya to you, too. Thank you very much. So, her being in Canada and then going to go back to Kuwait now. So, we're pretty much just killing time. We're just killing time in Canada. She spent some time traveling, a little bit. She had lunch with her aunt, who is either very gullible or totally cashed out. Because I can't, it's like, isn't she seeing her family at all while she's there, or do they not want to see her? She made it sound like her aunt's the only cool one, which means her aunt enables it, or she's a lot like Shantal. And that also means that the aunt either co-signs her bullshit or doesn't care, which is not kind. You might eat poutine once or twice a year. Oh, I didn't figure there was big buffets. Endless pots of gravy. Enough for you to drink, even. Enough for you to drink. So, she had lunch. She went bird watching with her aunt, who, like I said, she's just killing time. And when you look at the videos she's doing from like a time perspective, like she's not making a lot of content. A lot of it looks like stuff she had already. Or she's like dragging it out and playing music over it. That's so lazy. You might as well just say, send me money for nothing. Because that's what it seems like. You're putting out a video out of obligation. Because every time you put out a video, X number of people will watch regardless of what is there. And so you don't care very much because, you know, she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to care about it. People already have an opinion usually going in. Yeah, you don't drink the gravy. Unless it's thickened with, whatever they thicken vegan food with or whatever. Xanthan gum? Something like that. That'd probably be okay. So, Donna, hello. You birdwatch. Like, I know, Christine, like, you know how to do that. Like, I thought that was very cool, but she's just doing something to do something. So that's pretty much it. Therapy in Canada, as was brought up. Yes. Hey, Vanessa. Hello. Here to judge. I think she likes her relationship better apart because Sala puts in more effort. That's a very interesting... Thank you for the super chat. That's a really interesting kind of angle to look at it from. I mean, in the new photo that's out of him, you're going to hear that our smoke detector... I took the batteries out, and it's still making noise. He appears to be excited to have her home and holding the cat and all that stuff. She probably had him pose for those pictures before she left. Because he wouldn't stage himself like that. He doesn't have the know-how. And he probably expects some woman to do it for him. He seems like the kind of guy who thinks he's kind of a prize. So, and I don't. So, Shantal, yes, the therapist said she's in mourning and that she's going through a bit of a rough spot. And Shantal turned that into the therapist practically begging her to go back to Kuwait. So I don't trust anything Shantal... Okay, first rule, Shantal lies. But also Shantal manipulates. Every relationship she kind of approaches with this power dynamic. Who's the head? Who's got one over on the other? Who's this? Who's that? And I think in meeting a therapist, I don't think she goes twice because I think she gets the feeling she could be exposed to herself, you know, that she's not maybe as nice of a person or as kind of a person or as healthy of a person as she would want to be or is. So, she said therapy was good, but it was a one-off. And they said, you know, well, you can do it abroad and you can do it telehealth. They have those options because the wait time is like a year. I just set up an appointment. Let's back to me. I just set an appointment for a therapist. I haven't been in therapy in years. I've had bed management and then some like support groupy type stuff, but not a proper sit down, talk to them therapist. And they got it bumped because I'm not really interested right now in taking more meds. We spent a couple years, if you guys were along the ride, coming off of them. And I wasn't interested in going back on. So we're going to try therapy to address some of the issues. And it's going to be May 7th is my appointment coming up. So that's pretty soon. They told me a year, but you know what they had? A wait list. And if people canceled, they would call. And that's what happened. So now instead of having to wait 10 months, I only have to wait 3 weeks. Any good therapist should check their client's social media before a meetup. Randers, I agree with that, especially her whole life is online. Like there's very little that she does that doesn't make it to YouTube. So it's always a giggle when she says, oh, you guys just can't stand it. So much of my life happens off camera. You would never know. I think we got some insight into like nothing. She sits around on TikTok all day. And if she was an influencer on TikTok, or if that was her bread and butter, then sure, that would make sense. Like creators probably spend a fair amount of time on YouTube looking at their own videos, how others are doing, find new stuff they're interested in, new people to collaborate with. Just in the last week or so, I've subscribed to like a few more channels. And every time I think I've seen all there is to see, I find someone else on YouTube I like, usually. And there's a Shantal for all of them. But I'd like to believe that in the YouTube community, there's more good than bad. There's more truth than lie, and there's more honesty than dishonesty. if only for the rest of us just looking at the sidelines. So therapy in Canada, she lies. Therapist told her to go back. Okay. And it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And if it even happened, part of me thinks she went to a website for a mental health facility, got talking in the chat where they usually just verify your insurance, and then from there, they go forward to make appointments. Oh, God. Grandmother, Timbit, the loss of her previous relationship where she gaslit being abused, all sorts of other stuff. All sorts of other stuff like that. She actually has, in her defense, of all the people who go to therapy and probably don't need it, she needs it. She needs it. In all sorts of different directions. And I can see why therapists wouldn't want to work with her. You know, it's not entirely on Shantal's side. Shantal, if she's entering into therapy, is the client, is the patient. Somebody's paying for her to be there, and she should be given a service. And if she's not clear on what she needs out of therapy, you work on some goals together, and if none of those sound reasonable, you tell them to go back to Kuwait. You know, how disgusted must the therapist have been? It was like, oh, fucking go. Bye. For the hottest months of the summer, she's going to be back over there. What's interesting, though, with this is that it really has come beyond like an arc. She's been there. This is the thing she's committed to the longest. Even when she was buying like new clothes, there wasn't as long of a rush as there was. But 3 pairs of underwear. Yeah, that sounds about right. Can't she get on her husband's health insurance? Oh, there's too many nuances for anybody to understand. So, I think she depends on a lot of people not knowing what sounds like a kind of intricate process. But, you know, when you move abroad and choose to live there, you take their rules, and you got to go through the motions for them. We don't get to tell people when we land somewhere how they're supposed to treat us as a citizen if we're not a citizen. It's easier to not have to dirty your underwear when you just don't wear any, Jamie. Sometimes that's in the thing, too. Just saying it. I would guess, but she's going, when she's over in Kuwait, to these just clinics. She doesn't have a doctor. She has a chronic condition. Yeah, no one in the car who drives by. Yeah, there's nobody. She's not afraid of war. She's not afraid of anything, fallout, casualties, reignition of stuff that happened 30 years ago. I mean, I don't know. Oh, she hates her. Christine, she hates her. She probably wishes she had more reason to be mad at her. She goes for her physical jab and says, you're wearing a wig. You're converted in the interest of not buying so many wigs just to wear the hijab. And she says her hair's down to here now, too. She said under the hijab, it's down to here. But her hair was always very thin. Chantal's hair was always thin. She had it cut up to here one time, and it looked a little bit better. But we also only see Shantal from the front. So from the front, she has almost no stomach, and she has a full head of hair. But then if you turn her to the side, it's different. There's different angles, and for whatever reason, Sala likes to find her in these angles. I don't know. Milk Tea is the best. She's smart. She's funny. She's very knowledgeable about things that I think a lot of us would probably have to ask. She knows when it comes to travel, culture, that kind of thing. So, 2 true things. Milk is lovely and Foodie Beauty lies. Yes, we'll go with those. Now, as far as her being a lazy shit, I wanted to touch on the language issue, because now that it's not really an arc and we're coming up to a year and a half, we're going on to 2 years, how has she jumped in? How has she engaged with the culture so that staying there, she's more and more comfortable? It seems like she's just more and more secluded. When she's going to go back, she's just going to hide in the apartment again. But after this much time, how does she speak none of the language? Now, just to put Shantal in perspective here, everyone she talks to speaks 2 languages, because most of them don't. Arabic and then English. And English is taught more often than other languages, I know, but Arabic to English is supposed to be challenging from people who have learned it. I did a little bit of honey research. And if you want to be fluent, proficient, it would take approximately 2,200 hours of study of Arabic language to get yourself where you need to be. So 2,200 hours, if she did 3 hours a day, it would take her 2 years. She can't even see past dinner. You think she's going to 2 years? Yeah, her French is like my Spanish. It's enough that people laugh and humor you and then speak to you in English. So that much time, she's almost been there that much time. And so if you're not going to she's ingrained in the food. of wherever. Though she gets like fast food and Chinese food and whatever. Um, so she has that part of the culture. She went out. She sort of married a guy from the Middle East, but they don't do much at all. Yeah, Chantal speaks French, but not speaks French. Like I said, her French is like my Spanish. I can read it really easily, but my conversational is garbage. And one of the best ways to learn a very difficult language is exactly what she's doing. Immersion. You learn as you go. I had a German teacher in college who barely spoke English. Unless he was so frustrated that he was going to scream at the rest of us, he would always scream in German, Was ist das? Like, to get us to learn our vocabulary. Like, oh, that's der overhead projector. German was fun. But I had Spanish before that. And in my head, there's only two places for words. There's English and then everything else. So I run the German into the Spanish. It's stupid. I have a hard time doing it. But for her to take those 2 years to learn, just think a few hours a day. What is she doing? A little less TikTok? And if she had started on the day that it sounded too overwhelming, she'd be there by now. If she stuck to it. Now, she can't stick to things that involve her own life and death. So I don't know about doing something that it doesn't benefit her. Everyone speaks English. So why should she have to do anything? But I don't know. I just think it's inconsiderate, especially if you're going to move into a country. Tell everyone how to speak to you. Tell everyone what the temperature is going to be. Take over the air conditioner so that, it's going to be hotter and hotter. When you look up Kuwait, you see a few things. One, Chipotle opened in Kuwait City. Breaking news. Their first international in that region over something. So that was, I saw in today in Kuwait City, they had opened a Chipotle. I'm talking to you, Shantal. Get like a burrito bowl. They're healthy. I think all languages would be easier to learn these days with the ability to, I had old school. You do the boot verbs. My brother and sister took Latin when they were in high school. I went to a Catholic school. So I speak French, Japanese, and learning German, and I run them together. No spoons, that's in my head. Thing is though, I never lived abroad. So I was never stuck in the immersion process where either you try to talk and get over being nervous about it or you don't. And what I find is my problem is that I can read, Spanish is the one I can read it fine and usually know what it says. I could read it out loud and pronounce it okay, which is, not bad. But responding to someone, or you think I took 6 years of Spanish in school, I'm ready to go to Spain, I'm ready to go. And then as soon as the first person opens their mouth, it's like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I can't even understand what the person said. I'm used to people who are non-native speakers speaking to me very slowly. That's how I was learning. So, I don't know. But, as if to say the gall, the unmitigated gall. Where did I see that meme one time? What's something that's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor? Speak 3-4 languages, they're fine. Well, yeah, but there's a lot of other people you encounter who speak 2 languages that sometimes that's not acknowledged as a benefit. So, highly immersion, French in action. I had an ex who had gone to, what is I going to say? Chicoutimi. That's where he ended up. He was going to community college in South Jersey and found his way up as far as Quebec City, and then another 2 hours, I guess northeast, would be Chicoutimi, and he lived there and learned all his French. He was trying to learn French when I was still living there. Everybody had several languages, but when he gets dumped, you'd hear all these Beowulf. So we did get a mukbang or 2. She was eating in her car for no change, which is when the Chipotle thing came up, because I was just trying to pull stuff together. That alarm is going off periodically, and I've taken the battery out, and we're either dealing with, like, The Shining, or Steve's not too smart, and he doesn't know how to change batteries. I tried, but it goes, like, every 5 minutes, and then every half hour, sometimes it'll kick on. So mukbanging in her car, she had this lovely and petite, sandwich, little tea sandwiches like they have for the queen. The crust on the bread was this thick. This is my coffee mug. The sandwich was that thick with that much bread and then stuff in it, but it was whole wheat bread. So that's okay. It's whole wheat bread. And it's, protein because there's cheese in it. So, okay. So she's talked herself into eating this sandwich at this point. We have the hardwired and then we have 2 battery ones on top of it. this building should be hardwired for electric. I know in smaller, like, if it's a single family home. When I was living in Philly, I used to do some inspecting and stuff 1,000 years ago. Um, I think people try to go over. I went to one place, they had 8 smoke detectors in the apartment. I'm like, well, you're covering your ass, but that's all. I don't know. I don't know. So, being eating in her car, having her bakery sampler, she also talks a little bit about weight and what her weight was like and what helps best. So she said she lost weight on a combination of bread, cheese, and hummus. Now, in terms of fat to carb to protein ratio, isn't that close to pig feed? It seems like there's a lot there. She said that she's not that, as far as her looking physically different, that she's not gained weight. She's just very swollen, is all. Just a lot of water weight. And granted, she's probably carrying, 30 gallons of water. Gallons. That'd be like 200 pounds. A certain amount. But she's so swollen, but hasn't gained weight. I don't get her thinking. I mean, I guess I do, and it's sad. I'll show you all. I'm going to do whatever I want, and that'll show you. So despite strangers, eat fast food and act like I can do what I want. You can't tell me. Na, 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 na. And her interest in trying to show people, first of all, the way to show people up is not to eat 4 times worth what you would eat in like half an hour. Not really the thing of it. But if she didn't care, why lie about your weight if you don't care? No, I didn't. I just tripped onto, if anyone's familiar with it, dank fupa. I was laughing my ass off for the better part of last night. If you follow, even just recently, if you've only been following Shantal for just a year or two, not very long, you'll be able to get what's going on. It's an animated looking series, and the animation is kind of like South Parky. It's better than nothing. Oh my God, love her. They're hilarious. They're so hilarious. Oh my God. And the openings, it's like the overplayed, the fact that the character drawn as Shantal never smiles, except like that every once in a while. They're funny. And you can almost pick up where everything left off. But the funniest thing they have going in there is Sala mentions he had big butt surgery. And so when they show pictures of Sala or animations of Sala, he's round in the back. So yeah, I love them. I love them. It's not the kind of content I could make, but it is the kind of content I can watch. I always like cartoons, like Family Guy and South Park and all those other ones that usually adults aren't supposed to be liking. But, oh yeah, I'm all over Dank Fupa. And I'm surprised there's not more views on the channel now. It's been around months at least. And I think when some more people in Girl World trip onto it, or if there's a really good cutscene that gets shared around from it, that it'll be. But it was in the same kind of animation as South Park, and if you remember the ambiguously gay duo from Saturday Night Live, they were a cartoon segment, and just the position of the limbs and how things are moving, it was very much in the same kind of light. So, the mukbangs in the car doesn't fit as well as it used to. Her. Most people don't outgrow cars, and if they do, it's because they have a family and they outgrow the room that you would need. She's doing that in one spot. Kind of growing out from that way. The tray table, we haven't seen that in forever because it wouldn't be up here anymore. And when she tries to reach for her drink, she can't reach. And then she reaches over on the floor. All while driving, mind you. Reaches over. She said, what was it? It was 4 years ago. She said she had a close call with distracted driving, because she was eating a snack wrap from McDonald's and started to go off the road. I don't know. I don't know about all that. So, delusions of hip bones. Now, if you're anything like me, and a lot of us share some traits, weight is an issue. It's for a lot of people, not just in the Western world, but a lot of people deal with obesity. And as we export our culture, we export our waistlines into countries where they didn't have issues like this before. So it's finding and creating illness in places where it wasn't before. So it's spreading further. I don't know. But she seems to think that her problem could be tied up real quick. Her weight. Now we'll say 400. Why bicker? We'll say 400, which would make her about 250 pounds overweight. Now she could put some effort in, but you're talking years to set the kind of goal she wants. She thinks if she just starts doing some crunches and has a salad once a day, on top of everything else, not instead, that somehow it's all going to fall into place. And if it doesn't, it's some cruel twist of fate that she gave it all she had and still didn't work. She takes back a cup with ice in it, along with her singing and the food sounds. Yeah, not so much, not so much. So it doesn't hurt any of us for her to overeat, but she, tries to use it as such. But it's all noise. Diabetes, 250-pound overweight with zero interest in changing. Zero interest in changing. So her explanation for not doing Ozempic, because you can't eat it. Probably. She said she tried it before. It was discussed about it being more expensive, not covered by the provincial health coverage, that she would have had to get it on her own. And it's not cheap in America, but meds aren't usually too cheap here. Mark was taking Humira, the injection. He has RA. And what is it, like $1,800 a shot or something like that? So yes, Kathy, you're right. Most people don't need to lose Shantal weight. Most people are not super morbidly obese. Overweight, more of us than there used to be, but not her size. That's the reason we don't build a world for people of a certain size when, it gets lumped in with handicap, because if you need enough space for yourself, as if you were a self plus a wheelchair, then you need the space. And yeah, you should be able to take the subway and the bus and do other stuff. And they make handicap exceptions, but Shantal is not handicapped. She's fat. And she discusses the health issues and the condition she's in, and in this vague way to kind of like, oh, I'm going to go back to Canada. I have some health issues I can't deal with here. The heat stroke. Your husband didn't come home for a month, so you did something else. I don't know. So, but this is all going to piggyback into a glow up that she's been working on for a very, very long time. Hey, Sherry. Regular Cardro, I don't feel like she keeps me on track a little bit too, I have to say, because I've been trying to reintegrate healthier habits back into what I did. Things I used to do before, but that I stopped. The idea of it being self-inflicted, Crafty, really does put a thing on it. People don't feel bad for her. Because not only because she did it to herself, because there's a lot of people big who hate themselves into that position. It's that she doesn't need to apologize for it, but she doesn't have to be a snot about it either. I mean, people should not be discriminating and making fun of others for their size and weight and all that good stuff. But fat isn't like a protected class unless you want to call yourself disabled. And I think a lot of people would take exception to people whose only issue was obesity getting the preferential treatment. Now, obesity comes with co-occurring orders, a ton of them, co-occurring stuff. So if a person has one, they probably have others. But when I think of Shantal in the airport, I think of needy. She's going to stay needy and hope that keeps the men coming or keeps the man coming. Oh, Salva, I don't speak the language. Could you go downstairs and get this? It's just too hot for me. And paints herself as completely useless. Completely useless. I mean, he might as well be single. I don't know. She did get caught in a lie about cheese. Of all the things to lie about, cheese. Okay, she was going on a road trip for cheese. Now, she went for this road trip for cheese. And she was going to get one little bag, just for herself. So then, she does that. Then, she ends up going back again for a family-sized bag of cheese curds. And she's got nothing to do. If you have all that time to drive for cheese, I don't know. But what she comes back with is the full family size. And she says, these are for family members. These are for other people. It's not just for me, blah, blah, blah. And we've heard that before. We've heard it with pie. We've heard it with other dinners that she's put together. Oh, it's not just for me. It's for other people eating it. So she went back and got the family-sized keg of cheese curds and then dumped seasoning all over them. Over all of them. So if you're going to give a gift to somebody, first of all, don't open it, you pig. Second of all, if you're going to open it and season it, tell them first. Let them know. Because this is the same thing that happened with her family over Christmas when she bought everyone liquor and weed. and then felt rebuffed because I guess they didn't take it kindly. So she smoked and drank all of it herself. So happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Shantal. Everyone else gets gifts for each other. She buys a bunch for herself. That tells you almost all you need to know about Shantal. But no food is off the table with her. So even if there was like no cheese, no this, no that, I'm crab. I'm gonna give it a few minutes and see if Mark comes home and make him wrestle with it. I think that's what we'll do. Because I've had mixed luck doing it. Just the strategic incompetence that she does, weaponized incompetence. It is a thing. It is a thing with her. She has this, it's so good, this poor, pitiful me persona, which works with some people. And then other people that don't buy that get, the cage would be too good for her after some of those rants. So, went back to buy the family cheese, pour seasoning all over it. This is why she says when she gets food for Sala and her, it's garbage. I can think of 2 lies about that. One, she ordered 2 sandwiches, one's for Sala, one's for me, and then ate them both, back to back, chased with a soda. When she was making food for him, that she's like, oh, he's going to eat the rest of this. She's in there with her fork, with her hands, with sauces, smeared all over, and then you're going to have the balls to hand that to your husband, who you say is paying your way, and say, can you eat this tonight? I'm getting takeout. Of course she's getting takeout. But it'll be curious at this point, when she goes back, whenever she goes back, financially, what are things going to look like? It can't, not everything that glitters is gold, and this doesn't even glitter that much. So, blandest of all, yeah, he eats like a fucking 14-year-old boy. I almost said closeted. A careless 14-year-old boy. So, but he's got that kind of I want to say youthful. Youthful is different than immature. Like when we're talking about girl world, I would think more like immature. But the groceries, I think, are just a prop when they go out together to shop. It's something for them to do. I think she was getting them delivered for a while. Now, of all the things she can't do, can't speak the language, can't find her way around, needs to be dependent on people, she sure as shit figured how to use DoorDash or Uber Eats while she was there. Life finds a way. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way to do it. And she made her priorities crystal clear. The only thing I'm going to attempt to figure out is how to use food delivery services in Kuwait City. I guess. I don't know. So it goes. Her glow up, which is going to not just be physical, I'm sure, but include weight loss. What else? No raging, no insults. A kinder, gentler Foodie beauty is what we'd be walking into. It interferes with her enjoyment of food. End of story. There you go. She likes being hungry. He'll drop number 3 at the end of the month, and it was one that disturbed him the most. Good. Yeah, 6-pack. There's no way. 6-pack. She needs to, think about keeping her limbs first. Let's not go overboard. Just because maybe you can't get down to 150 pounds doesn't mean you can't lose enough to not die so fast. You don't need to be a stick. You don't need to eat salad on YouTube, but you act like nobody can tell that you overeat. She's 400 pounds. Of course she overeats. If she didn't, she wouldn't be 400 pounds. And then to try to use that to position herself as helpless, to try to solicit the aid of people who are looking to help someone, caveat, who can't help themselves. Not won't, can't. There's people out there that live for codependence, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that would, cross the earth for Shantal, even as she is, because they like taking care of people, and that's what they like to do. She makes it sound like Sala's a very good caretaker, but then, she's home alone. And he's in the other room, or whatever, it's so funny when we are I'm guessing, Kathy, I said 400. I will never have the 6-pack, I'm not ready. No, I'll never have a 6-pack. Because the reason she won't, because I had been bigger than this, and then got smaller, much smaller than this, and I had loose skin all over the place. And I was a teenager, it didn't matter. It was not tightening up, no amount of exercise, no amount of water and B vitamins or vitamin E was making my skin tighten back up. And I was still in my teens. So I understood early I was not going to have the body I wanted. I think, you might be right, Texas. 425 could be closer because she said she was 400. Well, when she was doing the what was she up to 400? She was talking about doing some sort of diet or meal plan, and she started at 4. Oh no, she used it for clickbait, my 400-pound life. Now, when that didn't work, 2 days later, she had my 350-pound life. So whenever it's convenient, whatever's convenient to her, she lies like she breathes. So it's hard to sometimes even put a storyline together. She's getting to be as big as Dr. Now's patients. And he would have a field day with her. I don't know. Has anyone here watched 600-Pound Life? I think a lot of us might. He would rip her to shreds because accountability isn't Shantal's strong suit. Even when she does try to take accountability, and there's usually something about once every week or two that she fucks up that she has to sort of apologize for. She doesn't apologize because she's not sorry. She talks in circles. I'm sorry that you were mad. I'm sorry you misunderstood. It's not, I'm sorry I did you wrong. Never. Never. Smug little fart. So, the couples channel will be back. We will have Shantal and Shala. Shantal and Sala. And we will have them actually together for season 3. And this is where I first saw the picture of him with his like Superman hair and he's holding the cat. And I swear to God, they took that picture the day she left for the airport. and has done nothing since. No one wants, well, unless you have some sort of twist, no one usually wants a fully dependent partner. Like when you look at 600-Pound Life, because Chantal's weight is high enough that she's not just overweight. She has special needs based on the fact that she can't stop eating. And so, one, there's a lot less pity for her because when you have an illness where any element of it is that you contribute to it, whether it's eating, addiction, kind of other stuff like that, when you have an illness that you're feeding into gladly, and you want all the disabilities of it addressed, but you don't want to change it. You know, the biggest way to change it would be to lose weight. But instead, she's going to drop all these other comorbidities. And every 3 months, try to get my health back in line. 30% of males, 10% of... Is that the rates for... It just disappeared. 10% of females are capable of a natural six-pack. 30% of males. Yeah, well, I don't think she's going to... There's plenty of people who have beautiful body types in all sorts of shapes. And she doesn't. But if it's not stopping Sala from loving her, I guess that's okay. But he sure as hell takes interesting photos of her in the compromised, unflattering positions. But I don't know. It's all nonsense. I think going into the channel, it's going to be they just compliment each other back and forth. Hey, babe, I'm going for blah, blah, blah. I left the H3H3 podcast to come to you. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for joining us. We're having more of a chill chat tonight anyway. It's on a Wednesday. It's not on the weekend, so... Hey, another one. Hello. We don't know if she can come back. She doesn't know if she has the ticket money. Yeah, Shantal lies. So she's been living on this... She's only been filming like in her car and then outgoing here and there. There's nowhere that she would call home base, I guess, enough. Oh yeah, the fake compliments when he pinches her forehead fat. Oh, come here. I pet you like kitten. You bark like dog from me. Woof woof. She's not the kind of girl he would go for, I don't think. Or when he was having his eyes talking to other people, he would have found a girl similar. Unless she was also 400 pounds, white, and inconsistent. Then she's not irreplaceable. He could probably do better than Shantal. But con men have to do that. Now, when one con meets the other, oh, who wins when two con artists fight? We do! We all do, because we get to see each one of them throw bullshit at the other one. She took Lufthansa to Air Canada, Emirates, and must buy two. She doesn't feel like she should be obligated to do what other people have to do. And because she's defending her size as a reason to need 2 seats, and most people, you know, he's just a different con than Nads. Nads got her over. She pushed and pushed and she couldn't get her way. She tried, she cried, she called the police, she tried to have them bully in. Let me in to get my breathing apparatus. Which you didn't need on the drive home. But Natters was a little more, I think, cruel. He was a little more invasive. You know, Shantal goes into people's lives, but Natter did too. I mean, he was no saint. But he also kind of carried on doing his own thing. It's not like he and Dee Dee broke up. You know, they've been together longer than Shantal and Sala have. So they have more of a relationship to rely on, I suppose. Shantal and season 3, we'll see. I'm more interested in the next season of that Dank Fupa than I am actually of season 3 of that. I wanted to revisit her being a scammer because we had the scam that went on just into the last week where love your experience and your take on the world. Thank you, Kat. Thank you for the super chat. I think I could hit, can I, if I touch the screen, something's gonna, I do like it, something might disappear. So when she was talking about initially when she was in Canada, staying in Canada, she said all sorts of little things that she could eventually twist her way out of, like, oh, I paid a security deposit, I have to this, I have to that, all that kind of stuff. When she did try to scam, what people perceived as a scam was her putting her PayPal out there and saying, hey, I need some money. For nothing. She needs it for one thing, but then later wanted it for something else and wasn't going to use it for the same thing. So, Wendy, hello, hello. So, the reason she's a scammer is because she said, I only made $37. Lying. So it's not that big of a deal. So if it was a grant, just because you suck at scamming people, it doesn't mean the rest of us have to, just thanks, because I haven't been here in a while and missed y'all. Thanks, Texas. We're getting back to a better sort of routine, if not tighter schedule, because we're having a hard time fitting everything in and still having something that looks like a life afterwards. So, so I'm sure she made more. And then offering to return it. Oh, I can send it back. She wouldn't offer to send it back. She would never offer to send it back. Monster. And her saying that she didn't take that much, so it's not a big deal. But if people can buy cameos, they send to her PayPal. PayPal, you get the money right away, and there's very little off the top, if anything. So I can see wanting the PayPal because she could do a real-time panhandle and end that live with some money in her account. But because it was a disappointing turnout by those manipulated, she let it go. Well, it wasn't a scam. I didn't make anything. But you still lied to people in exchange for money. If it was in exchange for dinner, in exchange for a pet, or otherwise. So I do think she's a scammer by trade, especially when she's done her other things like Postcard Club or I'll write you a letter from abroad. She's been abroad for years. Anyone get a note? Anyone get a stamp? Anything? Nothing from her? Did you get your postcard? Did you get the rest of that month worth of OnlyFans? That was the worst, what was it, $5 or $10 ever spent. In the interest of keeping up with content, because I was trying to keep up with her a lot at the time, we had bought an OnlyFans subscription. I had no idea what was going to be on it. I knew it would be explicit. My concern was how explicit and how far would it go. She put up like 3 days worth of pictures, and that was it. And her response, I never promised you a full month of content. Then why do we pay by the month? I don't know. I would never, ever, ever let her have access to my address. No, Shantal. I don't think, if Shantal does know who I am, I don't think she hates me as much as she does other people. I'm not competing for her husband. I'm not competing for her life. She looks about as happy as she probably is. And, Zilla B. Insisting people who don't trust her word are disgusting. That's the end. She'll admit to lying. And she'll say, I was lying about something because I was trying to protect my privacy. So she doesn't say, I'd like to protect my privacy. I just assume not talk about that part of my travel. She creates a lie. Now that takes some imagination, of course, but instead of just saying, here's my boundary, not your business, she creates a story because that boundary that she puts up blocks you out of any part of her real life. And then when she ends up showing us this campy shit of her dragging her leg down the beach and him up there doing whatever and the cat all over the place and where the hell's the hamster? So there's other stuff going on. She knows y'all are. Found her. Oh yeah, 1,000 years ago she said about smoking. And I think what I had said was, I'll be smoking at your funeral. And actually, I've almost quit. But French Fry Girl might be there. So, there's nothing sadder than someone who believes their own bullshit, especially when you feel like everyone can see it. Like, I don't think Shantal has anyone in her life, maybe her aunt, who would pull her aside and go, Shantal, really, between me and you, Are you doing okay? Because it doesn't look like you're doing okay. It doesn't sound like you're doing okay. You're saying the words, but it's you don't look happy. So I don't know. I'm thinking the aunt is the family member she bonds with, and then aside from bonding with her, she probably plays fast and loose with her family, visits them when she needs something or when she needs to feel approved. Yeah, and people who operate off of a crew of yes men have no idea how stupid they sound because they're surrounded and they're in a whole it's all bouncing back at them. Their own opinion, their own this, their own that, all coming to the front. And she has some qualities, that are less, well, how can I put this diplomatically? She get any advice on all of that hygiene stuff? What do you think of her aunt posting feeding the bread to the birds? I thought it was a riot because even her aunt, who wouldn't get it, who probably wouldn't pull one over on her, said, "Don't." Copied the link, everything. Don't feed them bread. Cut up grapes, seeds, maybe some really cut up watermelon, a couple different things. Cough, cough, clear, clear, text. I see you loud and clear. But yeah, so she insists to her chat it's one thing. She gets called out by a relative on another. I don't know. If they dare disagree with her, she punishes them. She tries to punish her viewers. She tries to punish her family. She'll drop in once in a while that they miss her, and I think they probably do. I think Shantal has conditioned all of them to be responsible for all of her choices. Considering she was able to twist up her mother when she was about 13 with a fake suicide attempt, she could probably manage it with Sala, who I think could speak fluent English and would still not be like, I don't think he's bright. Like, if he was fluent, I'd be curious, like, what are your other interests? What do you like to do? But I don't think he could respond without assistance, so there's not much for him to say. If he's on the channel, he's sitting next to Shantal looking at his phone, and then saying, "Hey, babe, you look beautiful today." And that's it. How is that satisfying? She's going to get sick of this. She's going to get sick of it. Because if he's already cheated, I don't know. I don't know what I would. Low to moderate intelligence. He's on the slower side of things, I think. Well, if he has a family business, it's not like he had to go out and do something, but I don't know. So I would say for her, where she insists that people don't trust her, are disgusting. Says we should take her at her word entirely. Now, for all the possibilities of something she could be saying, we're supposed to just take her word because she's been so honest. She admits to lying when she tries to keep something private, so you don't know if she's keeping something private or if she's lying to you. And I think she believes I don't owe anything to anyone. Strangers on the internet. You want our money? You want our attention? You want the reactions? Knock it off. So she tries to tell herself that cheating wasn't cheating. Yeah, she did that. Okay, cheating's not cheating. Oh, he just did it over the phone with her. Do you remember when she said Natter wasn't officially cheating? Or that he was. Here's how Natter cheated on her. It was one of their first breakups. They broke up. 2 days later, he was talking to somebody else on Tinder. Shantal counted that as cheating because they hadn't broken up for very long. So you can't move on in the next few days. It's still considered cheating. The relationship was over. And for Natter, for all his practical reasons, only needed her for a week. Just for an alibi. And then she, dumbass, bought the rest of his whatever, She's probably thinking she came out at the long end of that. But everyone else went on with their lives, except Shantal. So I won't tell you about my health, then tells you everything about your health. What she wants is the ability to tell everybody as much as she wants, and then when she doesn't want to, say, well, that's private. That's nobody's business. I'm not going to talk about this. This is the last time I'm going to address this. How many of those? How many community posts? How many videos have started with that? Have your cake. Have your poutine. Have the cheese. Have your sandwiches that are thicker than a wedding cake. Have it all. Have it all. It really shows the rest of us. What it does show is someone squandering advantages that other people would probably want or pray for, and doing the bare minimum to achieve it. Yeah, that would have been like an anaconda with a sandwich, because it was way too big even for her. So yeah, she needs her privacy. She needs that. So Yeah, her health is private until she needs something like diabetes to get her back over 20K a video. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's diabetic. And then when someone asks, like, why are you having pie? I thought you were diabetic. It's nobody's business. My life is my privacy. You want us to see every fucking lick and morsel during a mukbang. But when someone suggests, like, hey, aren't you, like, having diabetic neuropathy or something like that? Something kind of sorta? And it's nobody's business. Whatever. So going into next week, we're almost towards the end here. Going into next week, I'm not sure what we'll be seeing. Travel? Is it time to travel? She has the money to travel now, unless there's anything else to hold her up. She just had YouTube payday. So the new I'm a nature lover reminds me of Blanche Devereaux trying to pick up the veterinarian by saying how much he'll... Oh my God. That's ridiculous. That's, yeah. Such a lover of animals. Yeah. I'm sure her payday was short. It was at least 1 quarter less. You know, she might have made up for that with the $37 of panhandling if you look at all her apps and what she brought in together. But I don't know. I know she had a shitty month. We could see she had a shitty month. Unless she had private investors or she was doing private shows for money on the side or some other gig, she's going to have to scrape by with what she made. And she said it's no big deal because her husband pays for everything. So what the hell are you spending your money on if he's paying for everything? You don't have it in the bank, or else you wouldn't have sat coach for a 14-hour flight. That's hard on even an able-bodied person. I'm tall for an airplane. I'm like 6 foot. So in an airplane, I usually get knees to chest and can't use my tray. Even at a smaller weight, it was hard to use the tray. So, but the world is not custom built for each of us. It's generally built for most of us. So almost everyone would fit into this seat. Almost everyone would fit into this handicap spot. Almost anyone. But it's not built for extremes necessarily. We have Mare, who I always tease about. Mare is familiar with Japanese culture quite a bit. Living, visiting, teaching, the whole nine. And she was talking about... What was she talking about? First of all, she was chewing her head off to my messages. I can't remember what she said. It was first. She's been here all along. Mare's been a long time viewer. 6 years, I guess we've been here. 5 years, maybe 6. We've been on YouTube. My account's from 2013 or 2013, but we didn't have any content up until much after that. And Shantal wasn't even on my radar when I first started doing YouTube. Haven't kept up with her. Just had another back surgery. Oh, was she back in Kuwait? If so, why did she even come back to Canada? Visa stuff tends to be the catch-all for when she's traveling. Oh, she has visa stuff to do. And it doesn't seem like she's enjoying her time in Canada. Like, all the stuff she would usually tell us, like, hey, came home, and, like, imagine you're, like, even if it's not your family, let's say your chosen family and your friends, and you've been away for, like, months, 6 months, a year, and, you know, you can't be more excited to see them, and they couldn't be more excited to see you, and tell me about all this stuff, and what does your life look like now, and have you seen any Kuwaiti celebrities, or, you know, anything like that. Nothing. Nobody cares what she's doing. No one's interested. Visa stuff and birthday gifts. Well, she hit the Christmas gifts last time, right? So it's got to be the birthday gifts because she lost out on the birthday super chats, unless she throws herself another party as an excuse to panhandle. But, well, folks, thank you very much for joining. We're wrapping up here. We're about at the hour. Nice chat, chill chat. This was very much my pace today. So I do appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who came. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up or subscribe if you are new. Welcome, welcome. And thanks for watching. Subscribe, notification bell if you get alerts when we have new videos and go live. You can catch us up on Facebook, SmokeySteveAndMarc. On Twitter, it's SmokeySteveA, X. And then Instagram, SmokeySteveAndMarc, one word. So thanks for watching. Contact info is below if you need anything. Feel free to leave a comment. And thanks for a Wednesday. This was great. So thank you for being here, and we'll catch up with you soon. Bye. Say goodbye, Mark.
Bye, everybody.
He came home. Bye.